Hello, hello, hello. We are live. I am excited today to be having as my guest Dr. Frita. Excited. So, this is episode 2 of Fitness Talk with Bernice, where I interview top athletes and celebrities. And so today, hello, Summer Love 16. Yes, today I'm going to be having as my guest Dr. Frita. And so I am waiting for Dr. Frita to come on and I will introduce her and then ask her questions. I'm excited because Dr. Frita is someone who is on television talking about COVID, given her medical expertise. So I'm excited to have her on here today. And so while I'm waiting for Dr. Frita to come on, let me start by introducing her, okay? It said she's unable. Hopefully she can join, and then I will invite her up. Hello, hello, Marby 0115 Mag. Hello, Carol. Glad you guys could be here today. And let me know if you can hear me. I know you're waving hello, but let me know if you can hear me just fine. Just type it in the comments that you can hear me so that I know that everybody can hear me. All right, so yes, really excited about Dr. Frita joining today because there's Dr. Frita. Let me go ahead and have her join. Let's see here. Dr. Frita should be coming up shortly. Hello, hello.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It's so good to see you.
You as well.
Yes, I am so excited about interviewing you today
I'm excited.
because you are just a powerhouse when it comes to medical advice and just being there for people and then unpacking it so that the average person can understand. And so I am really excited to be interviewing you today. Let me give you a little bio for people that are watching about you, and then I'll dive right into the questions. And then after the questions, if it's okay, if you have time, we'll take some Q&A if that's okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you. So let me tell you about Dr. Frita. Dr. Frita is the founder and president of her own nephrology practice called Midtown Atlanta Nephrology PC. She is the medical director of a nonprofit dialysis unit, DCI. Dr. Frita loves taking care of patients and giving medical advice. She now spreads her medical knowledge beyond the confines of her office walls by being a medical expert commentator. Her knowledge beyond, her YouTube channel, Dr. Frita, has over 350,000 subscribers. And she has appeared as a medical expert on shows such as HLN Weekend Express, the Emmy Award-winning Paternity Court, Sister Circle Live, Personal Injury Court, V103 Radio, Good Day Atlanta, 11 Alive News, the BNC Network, Fox News, and Dr. Frita, she is well-rounded. She's a well-rounded, personable physician. This sister right here is triple board certified. She is certified in nephrology, internal medicine, and pediatrics. And I am just so excited to have Dr. Frita here today. Thank you for agreeing to come on and be my guest today.
It is my absolute pleasure. You know, I follow you and I see you in the clubhouse streets. We've been on panels together. And I just love your dedication to the community, to promoting truth on health, your giving nature in ways that most people will never give. And so I just appreciate you. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right. So, my first question, I love your dedication to share your knowledge on social media platforms and TV. Please give us a background as to what led to your profession.
I tell you, so I've always loved sharing information, right? And actually, right before even going into medical school, I was thinking about being a teacher, and I did some teaching for a year. So I like learning and I like sharing. That's just my nature. And being a physician and getting a chance to share health information has been a passion and a joy. Well, one thing I found that oftentimes I would see patients who maybe had been non-compliant for years, or they didn't really understand their condition, or they didn't understand why they were supposed to be doing the treatments they were doing. I found over and over that they would say, had my other doctor said it to me the way you said it, then I would have listened years ago. And so that's when I started becoming hip to social media, that could be a way where instead of just sharing my knowledge with one-on-one with patients, just in my walls, just in my specific geographic location, that would allow me to share information and to perhaps help other patients the way that my patients said that they were helped by me. And so we started off with a YouTube channel, just me, my iPhone, my tripod. I had 3 subscribers. My youngest daughter saw me. She's like, oh my gosh, you have a YouTube channel? I was like, yeah. She's like, how many subscribers do you have? I was like, 3. And she said, that's sad. And so from that point on, it became a family project where they set up, they give me unsolicited advice, and we've really just had a lot of fun with it. And now, I'm so proud to have grown to over 350,000 subscribers to my YouTube channel, Dr. Frita, where I get a chance to share that same medical information on a broader stage. It feels very good.
Yes, and you guys need to check out her YouTube channel. This interview will be on YouTube, it'll be on Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. So everybody, and I will put Dr. Frida's information in the description so that you can follow her on all of those platforms as well. All right, so my second question, Dr. Frida. I see you're someone who takes care of herself physically. I see you do those dances too, but I see you're someone who takes care of herself physically. Please share what you do for a workout or workouts and why you choose that.
Working out, the way we think of it classically, or the way when we have grown up, you used to think, okay, you put on your sneakers, you run in a straight line, and you haven't really done anything unless you are bored stiff at the end of the workout, with the same routine. That doesn't work for me, Bernice. It doesn't work. I have to have variety. I have to have excitement. And I have learned that you can incorporate all kinds of different fun physical activities, and they count as exercise. You can go out with your kids and you can play ball. It counts as exercise. You can dance. You can practice your moves, making a hip hop or TikTok video until you sweat. It counts as a workout. Also, you don't have to work out for an hour and a half straight. You can do HIIT, the high intensity training, which I really find to be most effective. I can do just about anything for 30 minutes or so. And so a lot of times I will do that HIIT. I will give it all I have. I'll be sweating. I'll be mad. I'll be tired. But guess what? It's over in 30 minutes and I can still move on about my day. A lot of times people say, I don't have time to exercise. Well, nobody really has time to exercise. There's a million things you could be doing or rather be doing. But if you look at it as an investment in yourself and you prioritize yourself, you prioritize your health, you think, you know what? I waste time doing a whole lot of nothingness or tomfoolery in 30 minutes. I can take that 30 minutes, exercise, invest in my health, in my physical and mental future. And so that's what I do, a variety of HIIT, dance, running around with kids. If I'm running up and down the steps and I'm noticing a sweat, you could even be cleaning and vacuuming. It all counts towards your activity, towards your movement. And I started counting things that I used to not count and understanding, hey, it's exercise, and I go for it.
Excellent. I love that because people always think, I'm going to turn the volume just a little bit down, but people always think that, oh, I've got to do a regimented exercise. I got to go to the gym. And some people are intimidated to go to the gym. So I love that you say whatever you want to do, whether it's dancing, cleaning the house, it's all part of physical activity and you're burning calories. And that way you can get healthy. So thank you for that. All right, so my next question is, weight loss and maintaining a healthy body comes mainly from what we eat. Would you share your advice on meal choices and what to avoid?
There are about a million different diets for a million different people. How I wish I could just give one specific diet, stamp it, and say, everybody do it. It will work for you. But that's not the case. So the first thing with meal choices is consulting your physician, because depending on your physical ailments or what's going on with your body, the nutrition will vary. So consulting with your physician and your nutritionist or dietitian, if you have one, to find out the best diet. If you are a kidney patient, you may have to have low salt. Well, everyone should have limited salt. You may have to have low potassium, low phosphorus, but that will be a different diet than someone who is, say, a heart patient or someone who has another ailment going on. And so the first thing is to understand that just because you see a diet on Instagram or you see your favorite celebrity doing a diet is not necessarily for you. Consult with your physician. But some general advice that will be helpful to most people is eating in a heart healthy manner, having a low sodium diet, be it less than 2,300 milligrams of sodium a day, or with the American Heart Association recommendation, less than 1,500 milligrams of sodium a day. You should definitely be limiting the salt, because eating a lot of salt will increase your risk for high blood pressure or hypertension, which is a leading cause of heart disease, strokes, and kidney failure. High blood pressure is the second leading cause of kidney failure. It is a very common reason for me seeing people on dialysis. So having a low salt diet. As far as the weight loss in general, you want to have healthy carbs or limit your carbs. Again, this is going to vary, because if you have diabetes or pre-diabetes, for example, even some of the healthy carbs might cause an issue with you. So again, consult with your physician, consult with your nutritionist. But in general, you don't want to have a whole lot of starch, sugars, things of that nature in your diet. You want to have a relatively low carb diet or limit it to healthy things such as fruit. You want to eat the rainbow in general. And then you want to eat foods that are also heart healthy, as far as having omega-3s. If you're a person who eats meat,
Yes.
then, having certain fish, fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, tuna, sardines, if you can find some sardines that are low salt. But having those omega-3s, it's heart healthy. It can help with unclogging your arteries. It can help with low cholesterol. And then there's also plant-based omega-3s as well that you can find in certain nuts or grains. You want to have whole grains in your diet, whole grains with all three layers, to help to have that fiber content, the vitamins, and that can also help to decrease cholesterol, which of course can lead to being a heart healthy person. Bottom line, you want to avoid a lot of prepackaged foods. You want to avoid a lot of starches. You want to have a heart healthy diet, kidney healthy diet. Drink the amount of water that's healthy for you. Average person will need 2 to 3 liters of water a day, but again, that's going to vary based on your physical activity, or again, if you have certain ailments that cause you to need to have a fluid restriction. But going for being healthy, eating mostly natural, leaning more so toward plant-based, but even if you're not just plant-based, making sure the meats that you eat are grilled, lean, fatty fishes, chicken without skin, things of that nature.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I always get laughed at because when I eat chicken, I always take the skin off. And so they're like, well,
Good.
that's the good part. I'm like, no, that's the bad part.
That's the bad part.
All right, thank you so much. My next question is, what tips would you give to anyone listening who desires to start to make healthy choices and work out? And I know you already touched on a lot of it, but what tips would you give?
The first tip I would give is congratulate yourself, because that's the first step, recognizing that you need to be healthy and that you need to start that journey. So congratulate yourself for even being in that mindset. The second tip I would give is to give yourself grace. A lot of times when we start new regimens, be it exercise regimens, lifestyle regimens, diet regimens, we have all of these goals that are set in stone, and it feels like it's something that we can achieve. But the problem is that no one's perfect, and you're going to have bumps in the road, and you're going to have weeks where you've really tried and you've worked out, the scale doesn't budge, you've really gone for it, you've done everything you're supposed to do, and the circumference, that measurement around your waist is still the same. And so you have to give yourself grace and understand that the journey is not going to be easy, it's not going to be perfect. But if you're having that healthy mindset, and if you wake up And each day, instead of just saying, oh, I messed up, or oh, I cheated on my diet, if the first thing you do is wake up in the morning and say, okay, what did I do right yesterday? What did I do right this
Yes.
week? Praise yourself, give yourself grace, keep a positive attitude, and just go for it. Again, consult with your physicians. If you're doing exercise, you want to talk to a certified personal trainer to do things in a healthy manner. You want to push yourself, but you don't want to break your body. Don't jump on
Right.
there and do things that the 19-year-olds are doing when you know good and well you haven't done a split since 1962. Be realistic. Be realistic. Set realistic goals. Give yourself grace and go for it. Go for the journey.
Excellent. Thank you. That's an amazing answer. I love that. Give yourself grace. So my next question is, do you believe meal choices have to be set to gain results, or can it be flexible?
Definitely flexible. Well, now I will say, in the beginning, for certain diets, I don't really love that word diet. I mean,
Right, me either.
DIE. Oh my gosh! But in the beginning, when you're making certain lifestyle changes or eating changes, sometimes to get a jump start, having a routine and getting your body used to certain things can be
Mhm.
helpful. But in the long term, it's going to have to be flexible, or it's a setup for failure. For example, if you have to have an exact amount of food choice A, B, and C every single day, that's great. Like while you're in the pandemic and you're locked in the house and you're doing your own meals. But what if you have to run to your kid's soccer game and there's no choice there? What if you have to do a business trip and you have to fly across the other side of the country and you are in airports and for 10 hours, 12 hours? You have to be flexible and you have to have a game plan. You have to have certain meal prep or carry healthy snacks in your purse or in your pocket or briefcase where, whoever doesn't carry purses. You have to plan in that manner, understanding, okay, this might not be exactly what is on my, set meal plan, but at least if I have these nuts, these almonds, this trail mix, then I'm less likely to go for the salty chips or for the Snickers bar. And so you need to be flexible and allow yourself, if there are things that you absolutely love, love, love to eat, even if they aren't the healthiest, allow yourself certain days where you do that, but do it in moderation and don't make it a habit. And so I believe that flexibility is the key to success. Don't go crazy now, keep things within moderation, but you want to still be able to enjoy while being on your journey towards health.
Yes, excellent. I love that because a lot of people feel defeated before they even
Mhm.
get started. So I love that. Okay, so my next advice is should please discuss whether goal setting should be part of weight loss. What would you say are the pros and cons of goal setting as it pertains to weight?
I do believe that you should have certain goals, but the goals must be realistic. And so, goal number one, again, give yourself grace, right? If you set out and you say, you know what, I want to lose 20 pounds by January. If you lose 7 pounds by January, you need to do backflips and have a celebration. And so you celebrate the things that you've done well. You go back and you look and you see, okay, did I do things wrong? What kind of barriers did I have? You kind of go back and instead of just looking at the failures as failures, you look at them as opportunities for growth. And so, yes, set goals, understanding that if you don't make the goals, you're not defeated. You just have to change your game plan. So, yeah, that's a bit of a tricky. Everyone needs to have goals set, but you don't base your worth on whether or not you hit those marks.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Don't base your worth on whether or not you hit the marks and set realistic goals.
Mhm.
Absolutely. All right, so my next question is, as a nephrologist, please elaborate on choices that are detrimental to our kidneys and what we can do to mitigate that.
I tell you, Bernice, when I first decided to go into nephrology, because it wasn't my plan, I went to Georgetown. I did a double residency in internal medicine and pediatrics, and it was my plan to be that primary care doctor somewhere in rural, who knows where, USA. But when I did my kidney rotation, my nephrology rotation, I noticed that when I went to the dialysis units, almost everybody was Black. And when I went to the transplant clinics where people give that life-saving kidney donation, such as yourself, the givers, those gifts were going to non-Black people. And I was like, wait, what's going on? And that's when I learned that the number one cause of kidney failure in this country is diabetes. The number two cause is high blood pressure. Now, what do those illnesses have in common? Well, one, they disproportionately affect Black people and people of color. And two, they are largely preventable or at least manageable. And so the tips I give for avoiding or at least managing or slowing the progression of kidney disease is, first off, really try to avoid or control the diabetes and high blood pressure. Well, how do you do that? With the diabetes, first recognize the risk factors. If you have a family history, if you're a person living with obesity, that puts you at risk. If you are a patient who's even over the age of 45, that puts you at risk. If you are someone who was born female, born with a uterus, and you have polycystic ovarian syndrome, that puts you at risk. So taking a look and understanding if you're at risk, talking to your physician and seeing goals and ways that you can avoid diabetes. And that would include having a low carb diet or doing healthy carbs, not having a whole lot of junk food, prepackaged foods, doing lean, healthy meats like the fish, like the chicken without skin, grilling, not frying, not deep fried Oreos, things of that nature. And of course, exercising, right?
Right.
Exercising and trying to maintain a healthy weight, trying to avoid having obesity, specifically abdominal fat. Having a lot of fat on your belly, especially if the belly is much larger than your hips, is an independent risk factor for diabetes. And so trying to manage or avoid diabetes is a way to avoid kidney disease in many patients. And then the high blood pressure, again, having the low salt diet and making sure that you check your blood pressure, because there are lots of things that you can do naturally to try to lower blood pressure, like meditation, slow, deep breathing. When you do slow, deep breathing, that causes your heart rate to slow down, your blood vessels to widen, and the blood pressure to go down. Meditation helps to get your focus off of the road rage and the things to do list that's just not getting done. And it helps you to center yourself, focus, and bring down some of those stress hormones. So you want to really try to focus on ways to lower the blood pressure. And there's a lot of ways you can lower blood pressure naturally. One of my, and I think it is my most viewed YouTube video, is how to lower blood pressure naturally. But that is another key to lowering the blood pressure and helping to stay off of dialysis and avoid kidney disease. Now, there's some things, unfortunately, that in many ways are inevitable, like genetic causes of kidney disease, such as something called FSG, focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, or IgA nephropathy, or polycystic kidney disease. There's certain things that you may be born with or have a genetic predisposition for. Well, that's where having conversations with your family becomes important. So that's another tip, Bernice. Talking with your family, learning your family history. A lot of families are like, don't tell what goes on in my house. This is our business. We keep our business to right? And that's cultural in a lot of ways. But our secrets can literally make us sick. So discuss family history. If you've been diagnosed with something, talk to your children, talk to your cousins, your nieces, your nephews, because they may be able to catch the diagnosis early on and do some preventive work that you may not have been able to do. But they can only do it if families share. So those are just some of the ways to try to tackle kidney disease, even before it comes to get you.
Excellent. And I feel like we could do a whole segment just on kidney disease
You know it.
alone.
You know it.
But I truly appreciate the nuggets that you've already dropped. So my next question is, and for those of you that are listening, get your questions ready, because we're going to do a Q&A. Put it in where it has the question mark so I can pull it up. And that way I don't have to scroll all the way into the comments to find the questions. But my next question is, how do you stay as busy as you are as a physician, as a parent, as a consultant, and still find a way to work out?
By taking my own advice, giving myself grace, because guess what? I can't hit all the marks every day, and I can't beat myself up about it. So you mentioned some of the things I have going on. Yes, being a doctor, being a mom, being, a community advocate, working out, trying to be healthy. You can be really, really great at a lot of things, but it's difficult to be the best at everything all the time. And I have to understand that. On days when I am just mom of the year and I'm doing fifth grade math, I'm the taxi and I'm taking the kids to band and to soccer and to tennis, and I'm just bonding with the kids. On days when I am mom of the year, I'm probably not doctor of the year on that day. But then on days where I'm tackling, just not just the work, the 9 to 5 portion, but when I'm on the phone giving those extra calls and those follow-ups and talking to family members all the way in Wisconsin or whomever, just to make sure that my patients have all of my needs. If I'm winning doctor of the year that day, then I'm probably not exerciser of the year, right? And so
Right.
understanding that you balance and you do things the best that you can, but if something falls a little bit short one day, then that's okay. You just wake up, fresh day tomorrow. What did I do that was great yesterday? What did I do that was great last week? Wow, I'm pretty awesome. Okay, now what needs work? And you tackle it and you go from there. Now, as far as that exercise though, like I mentioned earlier, if you find yourself a 30-minute regimen, then it's hard to make up a good excuse that you don't have time to do that. And
Right.
so even though there may be some days where you're just exhausted, and that's okay, most days of the week, I do try to prioritize that. Not even just for physical health, but for mental health, getting those endorphins
Yes.
going, right? And so
Yes.
the best way to do it is just to set your mind to it and realizing it doesn't have to be an hour and a half, 2 hour marathon run, be at the gym from the beginning of the sunrise to the sunset. Just find yourself a little something simple, even if it's sometimes just, it might have to be a little 10-minute meditation or yoga routine, but do something. Give yourself that every single day or most days of the week. And if there's a time where you can't quite get it in, don't stress. Give yourself grace. Do a reset in the morning and try to figure out how you can redo it and prioritize that exercise again.
Absolutely. And it's becoming a resounding theme. Give yourself some grace. And I
I
just
know.
love that. And hopefully it's resonating with anybody that's watching. Give yourself some grace. So my next question is, how do you advise that healthy living be incorporated in the family as a whole? What small steps can parents and grandparents take?
I love this question. I really do. Because when I'm diagnosing patients with high blood pressure, diabetes, kidney failure, their problems did not start right then and there as an adult. They started with lifestyles, habits, things that they learned as children. And so health really is a family affair. If you are someone who has decided, you know what, I'm going to change my lifestyle, start eating better, make sure I'm not, I'm doing things to get away from obesity, from being a person living with obesity. I don't want parents to just, feed the kids whatever they want, feed the spouse whatever he or she wants, while they're the only ones being healthy. Healthy living goes for everyone. And I think about my own life. When I was small, I remember the point when my mother decided that we weren't going to be adding a whole lot of salt to our food. We were going to try to, but she was going to try to manage and prevent high blood pressure. Well, we stopped adding a lot of salt to our food. There was a time when I was a little kid, I would add salt to McDonald's fries before tasting them. I would add salt to watermelon, cantaloupe. Anybody who's from the South, from the country, knows what I'm talking about. You cut your tomatoes, add salt to the tomatoes. It was just a way of life. You
Right.
got your mouth used to salt. But I remember when the salt went away. And at first it feels like, oh my gosh, all food tastes awful, but you get used to it. And if
Mm-hmm.
your children get used to it, then guess what? You are setting them up for health success in the future. And
Yes.
I will, if like for me, for example, when I cook, I will add a little salt while I'm cooking. But we don't even have salt shakers in the house. And I didn't notice that until my sister came over here one day. And she's like, where's the salt? I'm like, huh? My kids, they're used to it. And so
Right.
basically setting the healthy eating habits early on. Know your little kids probably don't need to be on a major diet to lose 20 pounds, but it's okay for them to eat the high fiber foods, eating the rainbow, eating the vegetables, eating the lean meats, or just plant-based. Get your kids in the habit early. And again, with the exercise, you can exercise with the family. No, that doesn't mean you're taking them to the gym and you have a 3-year-old on the treadmill falling off. That's not what I mean. But you go out there and you don't just send your child out to play, while you can have some peace and the kid is on your nerves. You go out and you play with that child. You chase that child. You tickle that child. Y'all go
Uh-oh.
have your kids just sit there and be in front of video games all day. Oh my goodness, my kids love video games. Make them have limited hours on the games on television and
Yes.
ride bicycle. Remember when kids used
And they used to ride bicycles. Yes, it's buffering a little bit. Oh no, Dr. Frita. It's buffering. We're just having a little bit of issues. All right. Dr. Frida got kicked off. I think it's connection, but I will bring her back on as soon as she can come. She joins, I will bring her back on and then we can continue. Because I believe she was talking about, do we remember the, do we remember when people used to have their kids go ride on the bike, right? We used to have kids go outside and just be kids. And that was part of their exercising. And so now it's all the video games. Here comes Dr. Frida. But now it's all the video games. And that is detrimental to kids to just have them sit for hours in front of a video game on a screen. Yes, Dr. Frida. So I was filling in, talking about we need kids to be out there working out, not working out, but having a good time, running around, riding a bike, like you started to say, and not have them be on those video games. So take it from there.
That's it. And I'm very excited because my youngest two, my twins, are 11, and they are very good at play, at being outside playing baseball or making up games where they're running around. And I just started letting them bike to school, and so they are on those video games more than I would like for them to be, I'll be honest. But they will come home, okay, mom, can I go outside? They play basketball, and it's refreshing. But it really comes largely, if I want to like totally selfishly take the credit, I think it really comes from seeing examples set in the household.
Yes.
We understand that physical activity is what is accepted, and understand that that is what is going to help with your physical health, your mental health, your happiness. So yes, make exercise a family affair, make eating
Yes.
well a family affair, and explain to them, your children, what happens when you don't have a healthy lifestyle. Have that conversation with little kids. My kids know more than they need to know about heart attacks, kidney failure. But the most important thing is for them to understand these things can be preventable if families put fitness first.
Yes, absolutely. And just a little tidbit, my two sons are fit. And so, because that's the way they were raised, and seeing me taking care of myself and me incorporating that into their foods. And then my daughter is in good shape. She's still working on it, but she's in good shape. So, yes. So my next question, and then everyone that's listening, start putting your questions in the question box, and so that I can pull it up. If not, I'll scroll and see what you have put in the comments. So my next question is, with our current plight with the pandemic, what advice would you give about doing what we can to stay healthy?
This pandemic, oh my gosh, what, it's been over a year and a half. Don't you remember when you first heard about the pandemic
Right.
and COVID-19? I was like, oh shoot, I guess we have to shut down for a little bit. All right, I guess we'll keep the kids home for a week and close my office for a week. I can't believe we're still here. But
Right.
in order to stay well and stay healthy in the pandemic, the most important thing is to make sure that you get accurate information about the global health crisis. There's so much misinformation, and it's all over the news right now, with social media and misinformation being pushed, life-threatening misinformation. You have people talking about vaccines, saying things that just aren't true, saying that vaccines, are tracers, or that they're killing people, or that, they're magnets. None of that is true. You even have celebrities that we've had giving misinformation. Celebrities, to whom people look up. They look up to celebrities. But what you need to do is find someone who has been studying science, who's been studying medicine, who's been preparing for this moment, and follow that person or those people's advice. I take great pride in having studied medicine, all of my adult life, and shoot, some of my pre-adult life. And so when people say, hey, I did my own research, what does that mean? What does that mean? And my sister makes me laugh, Jetty, because when she hears a lot of people say, I did my own research, she's like, wait, were they just handing out medical degrees during the pandemic that I didn't know about? How are all these people equipped to research? But the truth of the matter is, you can see an article, but if you're trained to know how to interpret that article, that data, that science, then from a mile away, you can be like, that's not a good study. There aren't enough participants in that study. It wasn't a balanced group. There are just certain ways that scientists and physicians have been trained to do the research. And so instead of doing your own research, find reputable sources and study the research that's been done. I think that's really the most important thing. And as far as containing COVID-19, containing this pandemic, getting vaccinated right now is the safest, most effective tool that we have. We know that well over 95% of the people who are hospitalized are unvaccinated. And the far majority, almost 100% of the people who are dying from COVID-19 are unvaccinated. And when you look at the people, Bernice, who are fully vaccinated, who still unfortunately die from COVID-19, 85% of them are over the age of 65, right? Mm-hmm. Which is why if you are qualified for it, if you're eligible, you should get a booster. So if you're over the age of 65, if you're immunocompromised, if you are an organ transplant recipient, like a kidney transplant recipient, or even if you're over the age of 18 and you work in a high-risk area, if you are a nurse, if you're a physician, if you're a teacher, if you're a grocery store clerk, if you are a staff member at a nursing home, if you work in a prison, if you live in a prison, if you're incarcerated, if you're a homeless person, you are eligible to get the booster. And so you want to still wear masks indoors, especially if you're immunocompromised or vulnerable, or if you're around people who are unvaccinated. You want to socially distance when appropriate, and you have to understand that COVID-19 is not a hoax. I've lost too many patients to COVID. I've lost patients who have been wearing masks, who have been vaccinated, but who are immune compromised. They let their nieces, their grandchildren come on over who are unvaccinated. Guess what? Those unvaccinated young people tend to do well. And I beat COVID. I didn't get the vaccine. I beat COVID. Yeah. But guess what? Who did you give it to? Who did you put in danger? I just had a patient last week who was fully vaccinated, got COVID, was in the ICU fighting for her life for 3 weeks, and her exposure was her daughter, who was unvaccinated, had the COVID symptoms first, then my patient got them. So yes, her daughter's unvaccinated. She beat COVID. Yes, she's young and healthy, but my patient almost died. So understanding that certain choices that we make, certain freedoms that we have, is not just about us. It's not about you as an individual. Right. It's about the greater good. And so my biggest, strongest, most adamant advice in this pandemic is to get accurate information from physicians and scientists you trust and make decisions not just for yourself, but for the greater good.
Thank you. Thank you. Those are awesome answers, and I just hope people were listening. So I'm going to scroll and see what questions. I'm going to take questions for Dr. Frita now. And so let me scroll, but if you can put it in the box, the question box, that'll help me a lot, that I could just pop it up on the screen. So let me go, let's go to the beginnings. Okay, so someone said, Nunez Carolina, does coffee count as water?
Coffee does not count as water, and don't we all wish that it did? Ooh, especially on a Monday morning. No, and not only does coffee not count as water, coffee has caffeine. And you know what caffeine does? Other than just kind of keeping you awake and perking you up, caffeine acts as a diuretic or a water pill. And so the more coffee or caffeine you take in, the more you urinate. So not only is it not water, but drinking a lot of coffee can send you to the restroom where you're urinating, and it can dehydrate you. So it can be like the opposite of water. So no, water counts as water. And you can jazz your water up, put yourself some lemons in it, some fruit. In fact, lemons are great to have in your water because they have citrate. They help get your digestive system going. They have vitamin C, antioxidants, and they fight free radicals, things of that nature. But no, coffee is not water. It is not water. I'm not saying you can't have coffee. You know, less than 400 milligrams of caffeine a day, most people do well. So 1, maybe 2 cups, no more. Again, talk to your physician, consult with your physician about whether or not it's okay for you to have coffee. But definitely, no, your big grande cups of coffee do not count as your fluid intake. And I thank you for asking the question.
And that is a great answer because I think a lot of people don't realize that it is a diuretic. And so, they drink as much of it as possible and think they're getting in um, their liquid for the day. All right,
Mm-mm.
so that was that question. Oh, thank you, Michelle. Michelle, she said, "Hey, ladies, two of my fave kidney ladies, just
Oh,
who I
yay.
needed to hear today. Thank you." Aw.
Hey, thank you.
All right. So, and then LBR says, "Amen. Be realistic. Love the discussion."
Oh,
All
good.
right. Be putting your questions in there because I think these were mostly comments that people put on here because Dr. Frita is a powerhouse when it comes to answering questions.
Yeah.
So,
And
and
you know,
then,
Bernice, I can tell you some of the questions that I get commonly, like with high
uh-huh.
blood pressure specifically. I have people who will come to me because they've been sent for their blood pressure medicine, but they'll come and they'll be pretty haughty and they'll let me know, listen, my doctor says my blood pressure is high, but a high blood pressure is normal for me. So let's wrap this thing along so I can be on my way. And I really have to talk to them about that because the body is such a beautiful thing, Bernice, that it would allow you to compensate at a high blood pressure and have no symptoms, but still that high blood pressure is doing damage to your kidneys, to your heart, to your brain, even if you feel fine. So what is high blood pressure? Because the definition of high blood pressure has actually changed relatively recently in 2017. If that top number, your systolic blood pressure, is consistently 130 or greater, you have high blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
If that bottom number is consistently 80 or greater, you have high blood pressure. And I know there are a lot of people listening and they're like, oh, I thought 130s over 80s was good. Not
Not
anymore.
anymore.
We found that studies show us that consistent blood pressures at those levels will lead to the heart disease, the strokes, and the kidney failure. So really the optimal blood pressure for most people, less than 120 over 80. So if you're walking around with blood pressures in the 140s, 150s, and it feels normal for you, I guarantee you, long term, it's causing kidney failure. How do I know? Because I see the folks who thought that blood pressure was normal for them in my dialysis unit, especially, I will say, my young Black men, because a lot of them don't want to take medications
Right.
because the medications can have side effects that they weren't warned about. So let's talk about some of the warnings of the medications. A lot of
Right.
times when you start a medication, Bernice, if your body has compensated and you're used to having a sky high blood pressure, as that blood pressure begins to fall, even if it's still high, but lower than it used to be, your body is going to tell you, oh, I'm lightheaded, I'm dizzy, I'm
Mm-hmm.
nauseated, I just feel bad. And what are you going to do? The natural common sense thing you would think would be, well, I'll stop taking the medicine and I'll feel better. And yes, you'll feel better temporarily, but your body will be damaged. And so what you need to understand is that there's an adjustment period from going from that high blood pressure that you're used to getting
Mm-hmm.
down to the normal blood pressure. So you may not feel good for 2-3 weeks on a new medicine, but talk to your physician. Don't just stop the medicine. That doesn't mean you're allergic to the medicine. It doesn't mean that the medicine doesn't agree with you. It means that your body has compensated at one level and you have to be patient until it gets down to the next level. The other thing is side effects. Physicians need to be honest because some medicines do cause issues. It causes
Mm-hmm.
issues with the love life. It causes sexual dysfunction. But guess what? All medicines don't cause that issue for everyone. And so I tell my patients, especially my men folks, I say, listen, don't you stop these medicines without talking to me. If you have problems with your love life, talk to me. And we can adjust the medications or we have other therapeutic tools we can use. The bottom
Mm-hmm.
line is that we want your blood pressure to be low and we want you to be compliant, but you have to have the conversation and that relationship with your physician. But if you say a high blood pressure is normal for you because you don't have symptoms, no, it's not. You're still putting yourself at risk for target organ damage of your brain, your heart, and your kidneys.
Oh, I love that. I love that you brought that up because a lot of people might be taking blood pressure medication and then they kind of get off of it and don't realize that they're damaging their bodies because they feel fine. And so
Right,
I'm so glad that you mentioned that. Okay, we've got
right.
some questions in the question boxes that I'm
Okay.
going to be bringing up. So this question is from Mar B00115. How do you narrow down which foods you're eating that make you bloated?
Oh my goodness, that's a good question. That's a good question. And if you are having bloating, then I highly recommend that number one, you talk to your primary care physician because you may actually need to see a GI specialist, gastrointestinal specialist, where they can help you to narrow down Is the bloating just bloating? Is it just gas, run of the mill? Or do you have something like celiac disease or a true gluten intolerance? Do you have a lactose intolerance? Are you literally allergic to certain foods? I know someone who is allergic to broccoli and to tomatoes, and she found out in her adult life. And so a lot of times, you know, you can start by just having an elimination diet where you eat bland things that you know you tolerate, and then you very slowly introduce one food item that you suspect may be causing the bloating, and you eat that same item for a certain matter of days. But again, what I'm saying is just general information. I highly recommend that you consult with your physician because, again, bloating may not just be bloating. It may be a symptom of something a little more serious and underlying. And so you definitely want to consult with your physician for that.
Okay, excellent. Here's another question. What liver detox would you recommend for a vegan?
Interesting question. You know, there are a lot of things that we call detox. You know, maybe they have celery or apples or things of that nature. But again, quite honestly, I lean toward speaking to the specialist, such as that liver gastroenterologist specialist, because question number one, why do you need a liver detox? Is there a true underlying liver disease that you have? Do you have NASH, non-alcoholic steatohepatosis? Do you have hepatitis? Do you have where you have had too much acetaminophen or Tylenol where it's causing an issue? Have you been drinking a little more than normal during the pandemic and you're concerned about the liver detox? You want to really get down to the layers of the underlying issue before just, you know, kind of looking on Instagram or looking on Google for a liver detox. You want a full evaluation by a medical professional before you decide what detox to do.
Excellent, excellent. All right, guys, go ahead and put your questions in the question box so that I can pull that up. Let's see here. Here is the Courage Giver. I don't have a question, just a comment of gratitude. Thank you for the knowledge and representation. Great interview. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Yes, yes. All right. So if you have questions for Dr. Frita, I know Dr. Frita has a hard, actually, she's stopping now. You have a hard stop.
I do.
Yes.
This is that balancing act. My daughter has a band performance, which I promised her I would go to. She's in high school. She plays the trumpet. They had an out of state competition this weekend where they won #1, the grand champs. And this is going to be my last chance to see the whole performance. Yes. And so I do have to run. This is that balancing act.
Yes, that's the balancing act. And I just want to honor your time. Thank you so much for coming. Courage Giver just wanted to say awesome. Thank you for your answers.
Thank you.
And from everybody that's been watching, you can see this on the replay. If you missed anything, Dr. Frita is on Clubhouse. She runs the Ask Dr. Frita Club. And on Fridays, they have, is it noon Eastern?
Noon Eastern Standard Time.
Noon Eastern Standard Time. They have great doctors on stage. I mean, brainiacs on stage, just, you know, giving you information that you need. So definitely.
And they really pride themselves on being evidence-based, you know, speaking in truth. If we don't know, we say we don't know, you know, but we really are evidence-based and they volunteer their time. But anything that I'm up to, Bernice, right here on Instagram, they can find it by going to my Instagram page at Dr.Frita, including television interviews. I did an interview this morning on a national news show where I was talking about the meeting today before it happened for the FDA's authorization for kids having vaccines ages 5 to 11. And then there's some information in the media about someone who interviewed me a while ago, but who is now positive for COVID-19, but he's immunocompromised, fully vaccinated, and he credits the vaccine for him not being sicker than he is. Neil Cavuto off of Fox 9. I went and posted that interview. So it's very interesting. I go to quite a wide variety of media, and that's because I don't want to limit my message to one demographic. It's easy to preach to the choir. I like sometimes tipping off to people who don't necessarily believe as I do, but giving them the evidence, giving them the facts, and let the chips fall where they may.
Yes, that's awesome. That is awesome. So I'm gonna honor your time. Tomorrow, the Living Donor and Kidney Club, the one that I run at 11 a.m. Central, noon Eastern. I'm hoping to get some transplant surgeons and hopefully some nephrologists to stop by to talk about the recent discovery of that pig kidney that was transplanted into a human, and it was successful. So I want doctors to come over and help us understand what this means for kidney donation in the
It's
future.
huge. Yes, it's
So
huge.
yes,
That's a good
it's
one.
huge. When I saw that, I was like, I have to put this as a topic. But so far, I haven't had anybody that is coming, so I'm just putting it out there, and hopefully some transplant surgeons and that will come. But Dr. Frita, thank you so much.
Thank
I
you for having
appreciate
me.
you, and hopefully we can do this again.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
Good night. Good
Good
night, everyone who was
night.
listening. I appreciate you. All right.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Good night, everyone.